It's a sin.
Welcome back to ViralVault, where nightmares evolve, ghosts whisper, and madness wears a human face. Tonight, we dive into realms of psychological horror, supernatural thriller, and cult classic horror that will twist your mind until it cracks. Some stories haunt, others devour. Let's begin, if you dare. 1. The Black Phone 2, 2025. The phone rings again, but this time, it's not just ghosts on the line. A psychological horror that refuses to hang up. Finney thought he'd escaped. The grabber was dead, or so he believed. But darkness doesn't vanish, it changes shape. In The Black Phone 2, Scott Derrickson drags us back into a world where trauma speaks louder than screams, and the dead never stop calling. The story dives deep into Finney and Gwen's lives years later, haunted by echoes of childhood terror. Each ring of that black phone feels heavier, like guilt tapping on your skull. Ethan Hawke returns, colder, quieter, somehow more terrifying, and the cinematography, it bleeds dread. For me, this is an 8.7 out of 10. A tense, psychological horror that crawls under your skin and waits. Watch it alone, and when the phone rings, don't answer. Next up, something much quieter. Too Quiet, Keeper. 2. Keeper, 2025. A cabin, a storm, and a woman trapped with something that won't let her leave. A psychological horror that plays tricks on your sanity.
Looking back at me, I think she's a keeper.
Osgood Perkins does it again, weaving dread so slow, you barely notice it suffocating you. Tatiana Maslany delivers a magnetic performance as Liz, stranded in a cabin where reality keeps cracking. Is it grief? Is it a ghost? Or is it her? Keeper thrives on silence and paranoia. Shadows move where they shouldn't. The walls seem to breathe. There's something deliciously cruel about watching her sanity peel away, one scream at a time. For me, it's a 9 out of 10. Sharp, unnerving, beautifully deranged. Just when you think you understand it, the film whispers. You never did. And speaking of whispers, there's a town that's been keeping secrets too. Shelby Oaks. 3. Shelby Oaks, 2025. They went filming ghosts, but found something that filmed them back. A supernatural thriller drenched in dread. Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks turns the found footage format into a cinematic nightmare. A crew investigates a small town haunting, but what they find isn't a ghost story, it's a trap. The editing feels too real, like you're watching something you were never meant to see. Camille Sullivan and Keith David ground the madness in chilling realism. Every static glitch, every flicker of light screams, "Get out, now." It's one of those movies where you start glancing over your shoulder halfway through. For me, 8.3 out of 10. A supernatural thriller that hits your nerves like live wire. And just when the camera cuts, something moves behind you. Next, beauty, death, and a deserted town crawling with monsters. Queens of the Dead. 4. Queens of the Dead, 2025. A deserted town, strange creatures, and a group of women who refuse to die quietly. A supernatural thriller where survival is optional.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
You alright?
Drag is not life or death.
Tina Romero serves a mix of terror and dark fun. Katie O'Brien and her crew navigate a town that's been abandoned for reasons too horrifying to name. Ricky Lindholm drops lines that are somehow hilarious, right before something rips your throat out. It's chaotic, campy, and still frightening. Monsters lurk in shadows, each reveal sharper than the last. For me, 8 out of 10, a supernatural thriller that balances scares with sharp wit. When the smoke clears, you realize the town isn't done, and neither is the nightmare of the Elixir. 5. The Elixir, 2025. One sip, and your life is never your own. A supernatural thriller born from greed and dark power. Chemo Stambol conjures an Indonesian nightmare. Mika Tambayong finds a mysterious potion, granting power, at a price no one should pay. The tension is relentless, shadows move with intent, and the forest seems alive. The horror isn't just what happens, it's what you imagine will happen next. For me, 8.5 out of 10, cruel, hypnotic, a supernatural thriller that lingers like smoke in your lungs. Drink it, if you dare. And when the taste fades, beware the waters of Bone Lake. 6. Bone Lake, 2025. A couple arrives at a serene lake, only to find that serenity hides a sinister past. A psychological horror that drips like morning fog. Mercedes Bryce Morgan twists isolation into a weapon. Maddie Hassan and Alex Rowe uncover secrets buried beneath still waters, and what rises is far worse than imagination. The horror is quiet, the dread is slow, you feel it in the cold splash of water against skin, and the silence that follows. For me, 8.2 out of 10, a subtle, tense psychological horror that sneaks in while you're looking the other way. Just as the lake calms, the wilderness of Coyotes is waiting to hunt. 7. Coyotes, 2025. Friends trapped in a town, by creatures that think humans are snacks. A cult classic horror that bites back. Colin Minahan serves old-school monster mayhem. Justin Long's charm doesn't save him. Kate Bosworth runs like her life depends on it, because it does. It's campy, chaotic, and wonderfully savage. The town is alive, the creatures are smarter than you'd like, and your laughter dies as quickly as your hope. For me, 7.9 out of 10, a cult classic horror with teeth and attitude. And just when you think it's over, the house next door holds a darker secret. Stay. 8. Stay, 2025. A couple, a house, and shadows that refuse to leave. A supernatural thriller that doesn't knock, it breaks in.
Why is this happening to us?
Whatever's in this house.
Jazz Summers crafts an oppressive nightmare of domestic terror. Every creak, every whisper is magnified until you feel trapped inside the walls. The unknown entity plays with their minds, and yours. For me, 8.4 out of 10, a supernatural thriller that sticks in your skull long after the credits. Close your doors, but you can't hide from what comes next. Monster, the Ed Gein Story. 9. Monster, the Ed Gein Story, 2025. Some monsters are real, and some live next door. A psychological horror that makes your skin crawl without a scream.
You're the one we can't look
Max
away.
Winkler examines the twisted mind of Ed Gein with cold precision. Charlie Hunnam embodies the horror quietly, each step, each glance, dripping dread. Laurie Metcalf adds a grounding, human terror to a story already unbearable. It's not flashy, it's not gory, it's quietly, remorselessly terrifying. For me, 8.6 out of 10, a psychological horror that lingers in nightmares and news clippings alike. When the past whispers its crimes, it calls the next town to ruin. Dies Irae. 10. Dies Irae, 2025. A village under a curse, a storm of supernatural fury. A supernatural thriller that devours tradition and sanity alike. Rahul Sadasavan unleashes a Malayalam nightmare. Pranav Mohanlal faces horrors that twist reality, villagers vanish. Spirits rage, and the ground itself seems alive. The cinematography feels like watching the end of the world unfold. For me, 8.8 out of 10. A supernatural thriller that is both beautiful and devastating. And as the final scream echoes, the night closes, but nightmares never truly end.